This chapter is all about really, really big numbers and all about really, really small numbers. So today we're going to start simple. We're just going to talk about powers and exponents. This is lesson 4.1, powers and exponents. To start, we're going to talk about what an exponent is, and an exponent shows repeated multiplication. When we have exponent, there's actually 3 different ways that you can write out exponents, and the first one is in exponential form. The second one is in repeated factor form, and the third one is standard form, which is the answer. So let's just look up at the exponential form. A lot of times you have an exponent number. The big number is known as the base. The little number is known as the exponent. So this can be read 8 to the third power or 8 with the exponent of 3. Usually we write it as 8 to the third power. Now, this does not mean 8 times 3. What it means is if we go into the repeated factor form, if we had to write this out, it would look like this. Every year I have people say, oh, the answer is 24. Well, the answer is not 24. It's not 8 times 3. It's telling us that we're going to multiply 8 by itself 3 times. So this is what repeated factor form would look like, just writing it out so we could see visually what it looked like. Now, standard form is actually what the answer is. So if you take 8 times 8 times 8, 8 times 8 is 64. Then if we take that times another 8, because here's my 8 right here, I get a 2, carry the 3, 48, 49, 50, 51. The answer in standard form would be 512. So 8 to the third power would be 512. That's the answer. So we're going to use all 3 of these forms today, so make sure you know what all 3 of them are. Now, we're going to write each of these. Now you see I have 4 across here. We're going to write each of these in standard form and expanded form. Well, first we're going to start with expanded form. And then we're going to do standard, because to me that makes the most sense, is writing it out first and then figuring out what the answer is. So if I look at 4 to the 5th power, this is what it would be in expanded form. Okay? Then to find standard form, I have to figure it out by multiplying everything. Well, it's pretty easy because you can do a lot of things together. So I know this is 16, I know this is 16, so this is what it would look like so far. 16 times 16, I believe, is 256. If I do it out, I believe it's 256. Then I would take 256 times 4. 4, carry the 220, 21, 22. And 4 to the 5th power would be 1024. Okay, so let's go to 6 to the 6, x to the 6th power. Now sometimes your base might be a letter or a variable. That's okay. But just know that there is no possible standard format to this, because there's no way we know what the answer is. Unless they would tell us what x is, then we could find the standard form. But there's no way we can find it because we don't know what x is. But we can write this in expanded form. That's expanded form, but there's no standard form because we don't know what x is. Okay, now here, this is a little different. This has -3 with an exponent of 2. Notice that the parentheses are out, or notice that the exponent is outside. So that's saying I'm going to take -3 times -3. And I know that's my expanded form. And then my standard form would be a +9, because -3 times -3 would be 9. Okay, the next one over here, we're going to take this whole group, because it's taking that whole group to the power of 3. So this is what it would look like. That's n minus 2 parentheses to the power of 3. Again, there's no standard form because we do not know what n is. One thing you need to make in your notebook is that any number to the power of 0 is always 1. So for example, if you have 4 to the power of 0, it's always 1. So no matter what the base is, if it is to the power of 0, it's always 1. Does not matter. Always 1. And I can explain that a little bit more to you tomorrow if you would like me to, so you can figure that out and understand why it would be to the power of 0. So make sure this gets in your notebook somewhere. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to write each of these using exponents. In other words, we're going to write each of these in exponential format. Pretty simple. So first of all, let's just look at what we have. This first one, we have 3 2's, and we have 5 d's. So this is how you could write this. You could write 2 to the power of 3, because you're multiplying 2 3 times d to the power of 5. So it could be written like this, or honestly, you probably wouldn't even have to have a multiplication sign in there. You could just write it like this. All right, so now I have 7 and then 4s and then 5 C's. So really, since 7 is by itself, we don't need to have an exponent with it because we know 7 to the first power is going to be 7. So it could be 7, and then we'd have F to the 4th, C to the 5th. That's how you'd write this one in exponential form. Okay, same thing with 6, and then we have D plus 1, and then times D plus 1. So it could be 6, parentheses, D plus 1, end of parentheses, and then to the second, because this is what you're taking to the second power. Now, some of you are asking, well, how do I know that's not 6 to the second power also? Usually when we have an exponent, it always goes with whatever's next to it, not anywhere else. So if it's to the second power, most likely it's the number in front of it that's to the second, or the group of numbers in the parentheses into the second power. So whatever's with it in front of it, that's what we're considering goes with the exponent. Okay, so now we might come to the point where we have to evaluate some things. Now you have to remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We talked about this, I don't know, a few weeks ago. And when we talked about this, we didn't have this. But now we do have this. We do have exponents. So we have to take that into consideration. So if I look at my first one, I have 9 minus 5 in the parentheses and then to the 5th power. I have to do my parentheses first. So this would be 4 to the 5th power. And we just did 4 to the 5th power before. And I think it was 1024 once I do it all out. Now, anything that we do in the book today can pretty much be done either in your head or quickly on a piece of paper. There's going to be nothing that requires a calculator today because all the powers are pretty much like 2s and 3s. So it's stuff that can be done right in your head. So another example, if we do this, and we have -2, parentheses, 6 minus 3, and a parentheses with a 3 as an exponent plus 10. So first I'm going to do this. This would be 3. So now this is exactly how my problem looks. Okay. Now, if I look at this, I have all my parentheses taken care of. Yes, I might have parentheses in there, but that's telling me I'm going to have to multiply sometime. I have exponents next. So 3 to the 3rd power would be 3 times 3 would be 9. 9 times 3 would be 27. So now this is how it would look because I had to do my exponent. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And then I would be doing this because I'm multiplying. That becomes next. 27 times 2 would be 54, and it's going to be a negative 54 because I have a negative times a positive. And then plus 10 would be negative 44. So you're going to have to be careful with your steps. Writing it out would be the best idea. Some of you think you don't got to do anything and write anything out on the paper. I'm just telling you, writing it out is going to get you the right answer. Okay, why don't I let you do try by yourself? And don't forget, the word evaluate means solve. So you might see that in your homework or your directions along the line. So if it says evaluate, it means to solve. So why don't you try these by yourself and pause it, and then I'll start up in a second. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do in the first one is my parentheses. So I'm going to rewrite it. It's going to be 4, and then 6, and then a 9. Ooh, you know what? Let's not make it a 9. That's going to be a crazy high number, like a crazy high number. Let's change it to be an exponent of 3, because that's going to be crazy. It's way high. So let's see, 6 times 6 would be 36 times another 6 would be 6 carry the 3, 18 times 216. So it'd be 4 times 216. That's way better than a power of 9. That would be crazy. 216 times 4, 6, 864 would be the answer there. Like I said, nothing is going to be to the power of 9 today. That's pretty crazy. All right, the next one I have here, I'm going to do my my exponents. It'd be 2 times, I know 5 squared would be 25. Divided by 5, I know this is going to be 50. Divided by 5, my answer would be 10. All right, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to give you some problems, and then you have to go in and you have to solve them. They're going to give you what A, B, and C are, so that means you can evaluate. You just have to substitute in what needs to be substituted in, and then go ahead and solve the problem. So for this one, it would be 3, and then whatever C is, plus B, which is 3 squared. Okay, so you're going to do your your exponent first, so this would be 9 plus 3 times 1 would be 3, and then this would be a total of 12. Okay, let's try the next one. This is the one I really want to talk to you about. Come on, are you going to move with me? I don't think it wants to. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's do this one. This is the one I really want to talk about. So this would be 4. And then see how the a, it's a squared. So I'm going to put a in parentheses. And then put my exponent beside it. And b is 3. Putting those parentheses there will help me keep that 2 away from that 4, and will also tell me that I'm going to use 2 for the 2 and 2 are going to go together for exponents. So this we're going to do first. So 2 squared would be 4. So now this is what it's going to look like. So now I have 16 minus 3, and I get 13. So careful with the exponents. That's the biggest thing for today. And like I said before, let's insert your whiny voice here. Can we use a calculator? Not today. Are there times you can use a calculator this chapter? Most definitely, because we're going to be talking about really, really big numbers. And sometimes our calculator is going to be the only way that we can help us. So just because we can't use it today doesn't mean you won't be able to use it in the future. And I will let you know when that is, trust me. So everything today in the homework is pretty much powers of 2, 3, maybe 4, really nothing higher than that, and it's everything that you can do either in your head or just quickly on paper. So don't think that I'm pulling a fast one on you. That's not true at all. I just want you to try some things for yourself and learn something. So if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow.